Seems like it's not.
Five hours. Is that you're doing? I think you did that, didn't you?
No, I left.
I know, I saw you. You had to. What do you think? I got nothing to do with it.
Thank you.
You don't think I work?
I don't know. What do you do?
I work.
Jason was only going to the store. He had to be at one of the warehouses.
Tad didn't stay home.
Yeah.
It's just the pictures, it's just the weed, it's just the seed,
Yeah.
and the fertilizer.
Well, who was sitting there? The smart bus. She wanted to table too.
That was the best. Thank you.
So things are changing. Pretty much most of those things are still aesthetic.
Attendance, attendance, I suggest, if you have a meeting, you have to.
And you can see.
Yeah, I send that, yeah. I generally send one every month to the house.
Okay, maybe I'm confusing it with someone.
Yeah, and then, yeah. Well, that was the travel. And outside the office is a box. Right, yeah. Yeah, that's why we have a meeting. Yep.
I bowled it.
Last year I went on the 23rd, I don't know about it. One time I
Guilty. His.
I have 7 o'clock. I'll call the December 8th Shelby County Board meeting to order. If we'd all stand and then followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, be with this newly seated board tonight as we discuss the issues before us on the agenda. Grant us patience and the public's patience with us as we tackle the issues that face this county in the past and in the future, that do it with wisdom and do it legally. Watch over us as we travel to our home. Keep us safe. In the name of Jesus, our risen Savior, with whom this season is today. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mark Bennett.
Here.
Teresa Bain. Here. Cody Brand.
Here.
Tim Brown.
Here.
Carol Cole.
Here.
Charles Davis.
Here.
Julie Edwards.
Here.
Martha Fernhaber.
Here.
Clay Hardy.
Here.
Matt Kessler.
Here.
Annette Martin. Here. Tad Mayhall.
Here.
Keith McCormick.
Here.
Tim Morse.
Here.
Lori Nelson.
Here.
David Ogden.
Here.
Bobby Warman.
Here.
Sonny Ross.
Here.
Mitchell Shuff.
Here.
Don Tate.
Here.
Brent Wallace.
Here.
Jeremy Williams.
Here.
Everybody's in session.
Everyone is here. We have a quorum. Item 3 is approval of minutes from the November 10th meeting. Has everybody had a chance to go through the minutes of the November 10th meeting? I entertain a motion to approve the minutes of November 10th. I've got Cody, seconded by Julie. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is approval of minutes of the December 5th organizational meeting. I entertain a motion that, I've got Mark makes a motion to approve, Cody seconds. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to item 5, public body comment. I'd like to open the floor up to the public for public body comment.
I'll break the ice.
Kurt?
Kurt Allen, just have one quick question, or kind of as a reminder. It may have been 4 months, 5 months, I don't remember the time frame. The past board that approved going out on a, I forget the name of the website, seeking a highway engineer. And the last time we talked about this, it hadn't been done yet. I was just curious, is that ever going to be followed through and put on that website to seek the engineer? Because I believe the clock's still ticking on getting one. And if you don't, there comes a point where you lose your motor fuel tax. I don't know what that time frame is, where we're at on it, but I know it's been 5 or 6 months since that was going to be put on the website to find that person, but I don't know if that's pursued or ever was pursued. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Further comment, it'd be good for the Road and Bridge Committee to take that to heart. Any other public body comment? Any other public body comment? Lori.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To address, I think Mr. Allen's point from Monday night's public body comment, when the public has a question or when a question arises that we ought to give a response, I did look into what the order of business number 10 would look like for a little more description, because I actually posed the question, so I had a little more time to look into it. And from what I understand from various sources, it just means that should a sum of money or a blank amount of time be proposed for a project, that if, say, just for example, if it's a $150,000 estimate, that is put forth in a motion first versus the $50,000 motion. It's likewise for time. So that was the clarification that I needed. I don't know how much more I could expound on that if anybody else has questions, but I thought I had a little extra time to look into that, and I just want to bring that up. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Public body comment.
I got one.
John.
I'm just asking a question here. Could you, at some point in the near future, consider recording your own meetings, either audio or video, and then publishing them on a website where people can watch or listen, preferably live stream like we do, then the entire county knows what's going on when it's going on.
Thank you. Cody?
Can I answer his question?
Sure.
The other day, I did hand out the chairman a couple things about cameras that are capable of doing that, and a couple companies that deal with websites. So we're trying to move the ball.
All right, if you need any assistance picking out equipment, I can show you what we got and tell you what it does, and we can go anywhere in the world and turn it on and live stream.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public body comment? Public body comment? Public body comment? We'll move on. Item 6 is, Juliet, as you have the floor on discussion and vote to appoint Dale Weatherall as acting county engineer.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Dale Weatherall as acting highway engineer retroactive to September 26th when consent was given by IDOT to appoint him.
Okay, can I get a second? Jeremy seconds the motion. Motion on the floor is to appoint Dale Weatherall as the acting engineer, backdated to September 26th. Properly motioned, seconded, any discussion?
Sure. Again, for point of education on my part, the retroactive part is for pay and benefits, or?
It's a volunteer position. He has to be approved, the person has to be approved by IDOT prior to being appointed by the board. And there was some kind of confusion during the meeting. I think it was understood that it would automatically be an appointment. It wasn't. So this is just to clean up some old business that happened at that meeting. We're officially appointing him as of the 26th of September.
So there's no relevance except for
That was the
just
date
going
that-
back to our original conversation. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, kind of a point of clarification, and I said it earlier today to somebody. Really, in September, the board pledged that we would appoint him upon approval. Well, the board never came back and officially appointed him, so now we're making it official. Lori?
There was a question about insurance, county insurance coverage for a volunteer. Was that clarified? Is that an option, or does that need to be, I'm not sure how that ended up.
What are you talking about? Well,
If he's a volunteer, does he qualify, or does he fall under insurance?
so he's not employed, so he's not under employee insurance. However, we have insurance that covers anybody that enters the property, so I mean, there's venues. I'm sure somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, please do follow.
He's not covered under health insurance because it's not a benefit provided to him as a volunteer. He's either going to be covered, if he were to get hurt, he's either going to be covered under workers' compensation or on the general liability as a liability claim, depending on where that falls.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess to that point, workers' comp then covers volunteer?
I haven't seen our policy. I need to go through that. Some policies can cover.
Okay.
It does not, okay.
So I guess just from either errors and omissions or liability, right? So I keep your term volunteer, but he's acting in an engineer capacity. As a volunteer, unpaid, he is covered by appointment from here, or I guess the county's covered. But if he goes out and has an accident, county equipment.
I don't think he does any physical work, like he's not working on a road crew or anything like that. I mean, but that doesn't mean he can't slip and fall in the office or something. But I think that would be like the liability insurance.
So to clarify, kind of, I think his responsibilities are primarily clerical.
Okay.
Office paperwork, that is exclusively it. I mean, Reed's sitting back there, he can clarify further if needed, but he's giving me the nod, so.
Can you cover pretty much all?
Yeah, thank you. Like I say, just trying to make sure I understand.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor of appointing Dale Weatherall, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Motion carries. Next up is item 7, County Highway Engineer Report, and Department Project Updates. Gentlemen, you have the floor. Or Reed, I guess. You was just get let down.
Reed Best, I work with the County Highway Department. And I really just wanted to come here and give you guys some updates, since it's going to be another month to see all you guys. We are having our rock and culvert letting and our oil lettings just on schedule. We're going to have the rock and culvert letting on January 6th, and then oil and hauling for the townships and our county on February 3rd. So we're still just moving right along with keeping all the townships, working. So that was kind of good news that things are just right on schedule with that. Some project updates. We finished and opened up the Westervelt County Bridge, just south of Westervelt. The Shelbyville Township Bridge, that's a couple miles southeast of Shelbyville, is done and opened up. And then Country Club Road, going out of Shelbyville at 12th Street and North Broadway, is finished. Besides, we're doing the striping in the spring due to temperatures. So we just got everything wrapped up, and we're in good shape. So I just want to give everybody an update. Thanks.
Thank you. Item 8, Jeremy Williams, you have the floor. Discussion and vote on rescinding county board action taken on September 9th to outsource county payroll. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would make the motion that this board rescind the previous board's decision to outsource the county's payroll, if I could get a second.
I've got Sonny. Jeremy on the motion and Sonny on the second. Any discussion, questions?
Can we get some explanation, please? Being almost a year and a half ago, so backstory, I was here Tuesday, spent a fair amount of time with Erica and her office, and obviously we're not outsourcing payroll.
Right.
Based on the amount of time that she was putting in that day on payroll. So what is it that's actually being rescinded?
So the board took action to allow or to pursue outsourcing payroll. This is taking that off the table as far as anybody being able to outsource payroll. I shouldn't say anybody, the board being able to outsource payroll, which supersedes her statutory duties. So what this is doing is just taking this off the books. There is a record, and then the record has been reversed to show that outsourcing payroll will not happen by the board. Correct, and what I'm saying is your item, but I was on the board when that happened, so.
Yeah. Did you want me to speak further, or is it necessary?
Is there
Yeah,
any-
I'm not sure I still fully understand, so we're rescinding something that's not being acted on anyway.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I understand that the county is not currently outsourcing payroll, nor are there any plans to pursue the outsourcing of payroll now or in the near future. However, the board's decision to do so some time ago does still leave the door open. And I have an Attorney General opinion I'd like to read a line from. It's actually from 1977. I wanted to include it in the board packet, but the attachment didn't go through. But it is 1977 Attorney General Opinion S-1260, if anybody wanted to look it up. And the Attorney General simply said, "It is my opinion that the county board does not have the power to regulate or contract for the three items mentioned." Outsourcing payroll was one of the three. Does not have the power to regulate or contract unless the board does so pursuant to the request of the officer doing payroll. And so the treasurer is the one that does payroll, and she never requested payroll to be outsourced. And therefore, according to the Attorney General, it was inconsistent with the law, I guess I might say, for the board to force outsourcing of the payroll. If a future board or a future anyone should act on the decision that currently stands, it could open us up to some, what I think would be pretty big problems. In order for an outside company to process payroll, private, personal, and sensitive information, things like social security numbers, etc., would have to be turned over to that company. If that company were to suffer a data breach, our employees' identity could be compromised. And so I found it to be unwise to outsource the payroll. I think that's one of many reasons why it wasn't done when the board voted to go ahead with it. Also, we have a department that we're paying, which does payroll. It was going to cost a lot of money, a lot of taxpayer money, to have someone else do the payroll, and I found that to be unwise usage of tax money. I believe a payroll company would also require access to bank accounts, which are full of taxpayer money. And again, if they suffered a data breach, those accounts might be compromised, and I don't think we should compromise taxpayer money. Those are just a few of the reasons that I had. If that's sufficient, I'll stop talking. If you need more, I can go on.
No, thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.
But again, I think at some point, it's worth anybody who's not had a conversation with the treasurer and her team. This is the burden of what payroll is. And, you know, whether it's software enhancement, something, but it was a very enlightening conversation for sure.
Yeah, and her software is able to do everything that outsourcing company was able to do. That was another concern expressed at the time, but she could do everything they were going to provide.
Sure.
Can I speak to that, Bobby? And the other issue with outsourcing payroll, CAD, payroll affects 7 different funds and 56 line items and accounts. The thing that I have tried to work with the board over the last 4 years, literally, from day one 4 years ago, the thing that would help us the most is electronic timekeeping. You know, we implement that. We just pull that into the system. As you saw the other day, we're sitting there manually, you know, entering. We have human error on timesheets. We can have human error with the entry. But the other issue is with outsourcing the payroll, you know, Paylocity would write the paychecks, and then all that paperwork would still come back to my office, and we would still have to, you know, move monies from those 56 line items, the 7 funds, and it would just be double payment, you know, for that work. So, though, and I do know there was one county that chose to outsource. Their treasurer wanted to outsource it, did it, and regretted it almost from day one because it saved them absolutely no work in their office and cost more because all Paylocity did was write the checks. You know, the reporting and everything was still going through the county, and it was a major regret for that county.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I'm just trying to make sure I understand, you know, what the intent was behind that. So thank you.
Did you have something?
Tad, some of the issues that you and I identified the other day, this will not solve that.
Right.
And it's not going to help it. And this is a lot like item number 6, cleanup of old dirty business.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree with that.
But I agree with you, there are some things that need addressed in the future, so this isn't going to handle that.
Bobby?
Where we at? Over here.
My understanding that we have not entered into any contract with Paylocity whatsoever, correct?
Correct. Yeah, this is just taking the board action and erasing that board action. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll move on to item 9, which is discussion and vote to accept the receipt of the county collector bond as required by 35 ILCS 200/19-45. I entertain a motion to accept the receipt of the county collector's bond. Don makes the motion. I got Mark on the second. Any discussion?
Can we ask Jessica to explain this a little bit?
Sure.
Essentially, I mean, this years ago used to go through the county board, and then, I mean, at the bottom of it, it says that, you know, the chairman of the county board, a circuit judge residing in the county, and the county clerk may also approve the bond. But I just think by making it part of the county board record, it is statute, by making it part of the county board record, it's on file, and it doesn't put the approval of the bond in any one particular person's lap. The whole board is approving the receipt of the bond.
I think you have a question. So this is just the collector bond?
Just the collector bond, that's all that's required to be accepted by the board.
Okay. Don?
But you are bonded, are you not, as well as the county, the board, or the supervisor of assessments?
And the sheriff.
Yes.
The treasurer has a treasurer bond and a collector bond. I have a recorder bond and a county clerk bond. And then the supervisor of assessments and the sheriff.
Right, so this is all under the same bond? Or are they just called the collector bond? Or
This is specifically for the county collector.
Okay,
Yeah.
but we never activate, or never act on doing these other
You
bonds?
don't have to, no.
Okay.
So I had a motion and a second. We've had discussion. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the receipt of the county collector's bond, say aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
We're not spending money.
You are when you pay the bills, but this bill is in with the bills that you're going to approve for payment.
So we had an affirmative aye vote. Does anybody have any, all opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Item 10, presentation of the IMRF county contribution rates.
I just wanted to make everybody aware, just kind of informational, our IMRF will change every January 1. In November, I got the new rates for this January 1. I sent out 3 years' worth just so you all can kind of see the trend that we're on right now, which is a very good trend. And in the 3 years, like this year right now, on any IMRF employee, we're paying 8.31% for the county portion. All employees pay 4.5%, and then the county, their part with the SLEP, which is law enforcement, this year is 10.58, which is lower than the year prior to that, was 9.99 and 13.39, but starting in January, our rate will go to 5.54% for IMRF employees, and then 8.02% for SLEP. That's a pretty big decrease, which is, fantastic for us. But also there at the bottom, the note there that says, regardless, your ECO employer contribution must be at least $652.08 a month. We will pay that monthly, which will be that annual amount. This year, right now, we've been paying $7,975 and some change every month. That being said, I did not get this out because I just got it this week, but we have a balance right now in our ECHO regular SLEP retirement reserve of $502,000 and a little bit more. Every other year that I've been here, that's been a negative amount, and that's why we've paid $500,000, $300,000 lump sum to get that down, because we do pay 7.5% on anything that's in the negative. We are in the positive, which is great. We're not, this is the first year since I've been here, we're not making a huge lump sum. We're not going to be banking large monthly sums, and our rates are going down. So I just wanted to draw your attention to that. Very good news through IMRF right now. I think part of that reserve amount is we had some employees leave who chose to cash out their retirement, which then left the county's portion that was paid over those years in our account. And when that happened a couple years ago, Mandy, as our rep, said that it can take 18 months to 2 years to actually see that in your account. And so I think we're finally seeing that. So.
Question. So does IMRF determine that every year? Is it reset by IMRF on what your contribution will be as a percentage?
Yes,
Okay.
on where we are with the actuarial, and I did email Mandy too. One reason it's gone down is in 20 and 21, IMRF had a really good return on their, which then goes to all of their employers, so that helped as well.
Okay, yeah, so just wonder if it was a combination of that and then also
And
or
that in there,
fixed
yeah.
rates or whatever as well. So-
But we get that rate, we get this rate change every year, usually sometime in November, to know where we're going to be.
And I assume that every county might have a different rate adjustment then
Correct.
just based on
It's based on,
their
right.
factors. Okay.
Like I know we had with the ECHO, which is no longer, when employees pass away, or, just so many factors, but especially with that ECHO that was
years ago, I don't know what year they quit Echo, Jessica might be able to say, but we don't have any, we've only got 2 employees, I think, now, prior employees that are still on Echo, which helps. That's why we're paying the $652 a month on Echo.
Thank you. Any other questions for the treasurer? Okay, we'll move on to item 10, which is, what?
11.
Correct. Item 11, which is discussion and vote on associate yearly federally mandated reporting for prescription drug and healthcare spending to the Department of Labor.
So I received the email, I think I sent out in your packet on November 17th. This is federally mandated act that was passed. They made it retroactive to, 20? And since we are self-insured, there has to be a report that goes to the federal government with our drug costs, and it has something to do with the drugs, and then they report item even aware. That isn't information that we have in my office. We have nowhere in the county. We cannot compile that information, and since Consociate is our insurance provider, they obviously have that information. Only seems reasonable that they would compile that documentation and then provide it to the federal government. That being said, there is an expense to that, which is $1,750 per year. I need to email them first thing in the morning. They wanted it by December 1st because it has to be reported by December 27th, I think it is due. We will get invoiced for the 2 years. The 22 report isn't due until June of 23, at which point we would then get billed for another $7,950. Again, it was a federal mandate, unfunded. We really don't have an option. If we looked up the fine the other night, if we don't, it was a $6,000 fine, I believe, for each year that we don't file.
And it was not only a fine, but then they could force compliance. So you're gonna pay, and then they're gonna force you to comply anyway, so just comply. Save that fee.
I didn't entertain a motion.
I do have one more question, Bob.
Tim makes the motion. I have a second. Jeremy second. Now discussion.
Does this money come out of the insurance fund, or is this considered a part of the insurance?
It would be an expense to Consociate, which would come out of the general fund, but it would probably be tagged under the insurance in the 009 account, which is still general fund, but it would be an 009 account into what we pay Consociate monthly. This would just be an added expense to what we're paying them already to do.
No. At the present time, then we would owe $1,750 twice.
Yes.
And whenever they compile a report for 22, they'll send us a bill for the
Right.
next
And
year.
they, yeah, we do not have a bill yet for these years. I asked them, and they said no, once they compile it, they'll send an invoice for these 2 years. So I'm gonna guess we would see that in January. And then June, we'll see the 2022's expense.
Yes, to clarify, the vote is to pay Consociate $1,750 yearly for 2020 through 2023 to file federally mandated prescription drug and healthcare spending to the Department of Labor. That is the full language. I had a motion, I had a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call. Of course, ayes is in favor.
Mark Bennett,
Yes.
Teresa Bain,
Yes.
Cody Brands,
Yes.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Carol Cole,
Yes.
Charles Davis,
Yes.
Julie Edwards,
Yes.
Martha Fernhaber,
Yes.
Clay Hardy,
Yes.
Matt Kessler,
Yes.
Annette Martin, Tad Mayhall,
Yes.
Keith McCormick, Tim Morse,
Yes.
Lori Nelson,
Yes.
David Ogden,
Yes.
Bobby Orman,
Yes.
Sonny Ross,
Yes.
Mitchell Shuff,
Yes.
Don Tate,
Yes.
Brett Wallace,
Yes.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Item 12, moving on. Teresa Bain, discussion vote to approve hiring Bellwether for local and tribal consistency fund support. Discussion and vote to approve making application for the LATCF funding in the amount of $100,000. Teresa, the floor is yours.
Well, you want me to tell everybody what I found out before we make a motion, or what do you want to do?
Please make the motion and we'll discuss it.
I'll make the motion.
All right, Teresa. Carol, second. Discussion.
Okay. Everybody received the email from Jessica on this, from Bellwether, and when I received it, I looked on the information sent by Jessica, and there was a phone number on there to call Bellwether with questions. And when I called, I asked him if anybody else called, and he said no. There's 22 people on this board, and they didn't call. I called. It is a grant. Actually, it was tied to a federal program that they eliminated, and there was money in the federal program that we got money out of that program at one time or another that qualified us for this. And it's a one-time thing, and if we don't apply by January 15th or the 20th, if the information is not entered into the portal, there's no second chances. It is $100,000. You get it in two draws, $50,000 and $50,000. Bellwether is going to charge $5,000 to help Nicole. I've talked to Nicole because she is the one that has to enter it into the portal, and she is willing to do it. It takes about 20 minutes to enter this information. We will get our first $50,000 within 2 weeks. That's the way it's been going right now for the people who've applied. The second $50,000 will come the end of January, the 1st of February. The only thing that this money cannot be used for is lobbying. Other than that, it's free money. You have to make a report when you draw from it. It has to go into a separate account, and you have to track it. But if you have something that you want to spend all of it on at one time, there's one report, and you're done. I'm trying to think if there's anything else here. In all the information that was sent to us, it listed all the counties and stuff that are eligible for it and stuff. I don't know what Shelby County had in this program way back when that made us eligible, because I asked Bruce, and he said he didn't know. But it is free money, and I know it's two $50,000 buckets that you get it in, and they are going to charge you $5,000 to help you with the portal part of it and then the reporting part of it. And they will take their $5,000 after we get our first 50.
I had a motion and a second. Discussion, I had Matt's hand
I
up.
just had a question. It looked like some of the counties didn't get 100,000. Some of
No,
them,
it was based on something that he couldn't tell me. No, they didn't. It wasn't all. No, not everybody got the same amount.
that's
He
the
said,
most you can get, right? And then
no, there's
kinda
some that got more.
75 or 50.
Hardin County
Still,
got two for $112,000.
So,
I didn't know what the criteria was. What it said.
I don't
I,
know.
I have it, it's all here. I
Yeah.
looked into it the other day, so if anybody would like to read it, it's here.
Okay.
But yeah, Mike Pope got $300,000 twice.
nobody else.
So,
I think it had to do
Is that
with
Shawnee
population.
National Forest? Because he said they got a lot down that way.
yeah, I'm not sure. I just have all the counties and what they got. It's a lot.
Matt Carroll over here.
The least amount you could get was $50,000 a year. So a lot of the counties get that $50,000 twice, and I think it had to do with population also. I did talk to Bruce at Bellwether yesterday also, and he told me, there is no timeline on this money. We have to apply for it. When we get the money, you put it in a fund. If you don't want to spend it for a year, 5 years, 10 years, it's in that fund. You don't have to decide right now what you're going to do with it. Maybe you'd have some expenditure that you would need to use that for, but just stick that away as a savings. The only thing, like Teresa said, you have to do every year by March 31st, you have to send in a report. If you don't spend any of the money, your report tells you you don't spend any money. So it's all free money, no timeline. $100,000, they charge $5,000 flat fee to help.
Thank you. Okay, so I've been, did you have your hand up?
No, sir.
Julie had her hand up.
Once we receive the money, who manages? I know Nicole, you said Nicole will enter the
Well, in that fund,
information.
just like the ARPA money's in fund.
Okay, but it's,
It'd be handled by the treasurer.
okay.
All funds goes to the treasurer. Lori?
This report, who's responsible for filling that out? Is Nicole gonna do that, or is
With Bellwether's help, that's
Well,
part
I
of it.
saw that on the paper that they sent out in the packet, that they would assist with it, but who essentially would be responsible for making sure that that report is filed? Is that in a committee? Is that in the finance committee?
I don't think so. I can't totally answer that. Can you answer that?
I can't answer, but I heard ARPA mentioned. So how is that money managed?
Managed to the treasurer's office.
Okay, because this is a part of that money. So this is a subset of another subset of the same type of funding.
So there's no answer to that question directly, but it'd be through the treasurer's office, as far as the management reporting of it. To the best of my knowledge.
Or that's kind of what I was thinking too, maybe I worded it wrong, but who manages the money once we get it? Like, is responsible for, the follow-up?
Well, I might have two separate ideas of you file a report that has to be sent in versus who actually determines where that money goes. Is that what
The
you're saying?
filing of the report.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think my understanding would be, as far as spending the money, it would be under the board's direction.
Now, spending the money, that's board direction.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just, my specific question is about who files that paperwork to make sure it's in. Thank you.
Any other questions? We would effectively be spending the money here to approve the hiring of Bellwether for $5,000.
Do we have to, I understand and I'm grateful that he will take it on the backside. Do we have to do anything to our budget or set anything aside, even though this will come out later? Or do we do that when we spend the money?
He said he would take
I
the
understand.
5,000 after we get the money.
Correct, but we're agreeing to spend the money now.
Yeah.
So do we not have to do something to
Amendment
do
of
that?
Well, I guess maybe as a point of clarification too, just thinking 3 steps ahead, this money, again, as mentioned, cannot be used for lobbying.
Right.
What does his payment, using that money, right, is he a lobbyist? Like, what is his actual,
He's not a lobbyist.
he's not a
No.
lobbyist, okay.
I have one more comment. If we don't act on this, and it takes board approval, by the time we meet again next month, it's gonna be too late, probably.
The only thing I can think of is our contingency fund, and the O-29 cover this,
It's got $129,000 in it, so yeah.
we're budgeted.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I think as kind of a discussion point with this is then you can just reallocate to reimburse that fund when you receive your proceeds with that, right? Because it does say you can commingle, you can reallocate. Again, the money's yours, bar lobby proceeds. But like I say, it's here for anybody who would like to read it, but it essentially says you commingle it, just as long as you account for what you did with it.
Okay, Lori?
Can you repeat the line item that you said it would come out of?
It would be out of the O-29 fund, which is, it's a contingency line item, and the O-29, others.
99, it's the 9,900, it's the general fund that, there's like, it's like expenses, you've got special funds in 029 and general funds in 029.
But it's the funds not assigned.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? We'll take a roll call vote on this.
Mark Bennett,
Yes.
Teresa Bain,
Yes.
Cody Brands,
Yes.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Carol Cole,
Yes.
Charles Davis,
Yes.
Julie Edwards,
Yes.
Martha Fernhaber,
Yes.
Clay Hardy,
Yes.
Matt Kessler,
Yes.
Annette Martin,
Yes.
Tad Mayhall,
Yes.
Heath McCormick,
Yes.
Tim Morse,
Yes.
Lori Nelson,
Yes.
David Ogden,
Yes.
Bobby Warman,
Yes.
Sonny Ross,
Yes.
Mitchell Sheff,
Yes.
Don Tate,
Yes.
Brett Wallace,
Yes.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Passes unanimously, 22 ayes.
All right, moving on to item 13, the discussion and vote to change the county order of business number 14 to reflect 8 committees as follows. It'll be the Finance Committee with 7 members, the Budget Committee with 7 members, Public Safety Committee with 7 members, Legislative Committee with 5, Farm Committee with 5, Road and Bridge with 5 members, Public Aid with 5 members, specifically the board chair, 2 Republicans and 2 Democratic members, and then the airport with a 3-member committee. It was asked of me earlier to describe those committees. Before I go into that, I entertain a motion to approve the change to the order of business. I've got a motion by Jeremy, seconded by Martha, and I'll start the discussion with the Finance Committee. Starting out is a combination of fees and salaries, purchasing, and the original Finance Committee. The Budget Committee is, I left it as Budget Committee. It really could be named something different because it is a little bit misconstrued in its name, but it's the Budget, the Zoning, and the Liquor Committee combined. The Public Safety Committee is a combination of animal control, EMA, law enforcement, public buildings, and public health. The Legislative Committee is a combination of legislative, miscellaneous, ambulance, and insurance risk management. It's a combination of those 3. Public aid is still public aid as was before. Farm Committee is still the Farm Committee as was before. And Road and Bridge has remained the same. The only thing that we changed with those last few is we took them from three-member committees potentially to minimum 5-member committees. So that's a overview of those committees. Any questions?
There's the dive team and the rescue squad that meets once a month. It's not, is it in one of these?
They're not committees of the board.
I'm on it.
I know.
They're not standing committees.
They're not standing committees of the board.
Okay. So, but they meet this coming Monday. Is somebody going to go to their meetings and stuff?
Yeah, that hasn't been changed, so you're still on it. Who else is still on it?
You're the only one on it.
You're the only
I'm
one.
the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And bear in mind,
And that's what I'm saying. Out of my book.
yeah, and it was CEFS.
Cooperative Extension, Rescue. There were several, I think, solid waste.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to address all of those in the next 30 days.
The 708 board.
708
Seven.
was in there. Matter of fact, 708.
Economic development sure is.
No, I'm thinking CEFS. Yeah, there's economic development, there's 911, there's 708, there's several committees that aren't standing committees for the board. So this is just rewriting the rule of number 14 to these committees in this structure. So, any other questions, comments?
So the airport is a committee by itself,
That is correct.
and
Actually, it changed its status just a while back. It used to be actually a voting, the board members were a voting member of that committee or that board, and now they're not. They're just more or less informational.
so do we have anybody on that committee?
As of right now, no.
Okay, because you didn't list it in your,
On the
on the county
assignments?
board committee, yeah.
No.
It's not listed.
The Well, yeah, they don't meet in January,
Okay.
is not the reason I didn't include them. The reason I included these is these are the functioning committees that will meet either as needed or monthly, and are standing committees of the board. So, but yes, there is a laundry list of committees that need to be filled. As I look around the room, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means there's 17 new members. The 17 members that aren't here filled a lot of seats, and there are a lot of seats yet to fill. So, but this is to get the board up and functioning, at least in the next board meeting. So. Jeremy?
Did you say that the ambulance committee was in with the legislative insurance and miscellaneous?
It's in public safety, I thought.
Public
I thought,
safety.
yeah,
Ambulances in with public safety.
okay, I have this. Thank you.
Ambulance is public, yeah. Miscellaneous is public.
Did you also mention law enforcement? Is that public safety too?
Law enforcement, public safety, animal control,
Public buildings,
public buildings,
EMA.
EMA. Yeah, that's a very robust committee, by and large. But I think, and this is just discussionary points to this, after the purchasing committee Tuesday, you know, the review of the sheriff's bills and purchasing and some other things that went along with it, there's statute that references like the sheriff's bills. Well, LEC, the dedication to that committee for LEC might be slimmed down quite a bit because the statutes reference the sheriff the sheriff's about the only one that has the ability to turn the bills in to be paid. Basically, without further ado, it's sent in, submitted, and paid. So those bills, for instance, in the LEC, was going to shave some time off. But when you look at the committee as a whole, you've got public buildings, which has to do with the sheriff himself. You've got EMA, which is, there again, public safety, in the public safety realm. You've got animal control, which works potentially with the sheriff's department as a whole. So, yeah, those committees all fall into that scope pretty quickly. And any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Are all those committees going to meet at the same time, the same place?
Those committees are no longer committees.
But what you've grouped them into, the
Right.
LEC, the animal control, and all that, they're going to meet on the same time.
Any representative that would want to present at the Public Safety Committee is to present at the committee. So if it's animal control, if it's LEC, or if it's the sheriff, if it's,
I don't understand, because when are they going to meet and where are they going to meet? If you're lumping these all together, what location are these groups going to meet at?
I believe public safety is going to meet at the sheriff's office. Isn't that one?
I think the clarification is it's only one committee of, was it 5 or 7 members? So you don't have a separate LEC committee anymore. You don't have a separate.
I understand that, but
Okay.
you've got animal control, you've got the sheriff, you've got all these other, used to be committees stand alone, and now are they all going to meet at the jail at a certain time? All those people are going to fit in that room over there?
is it required that you have all those membership
Well,
there?
you're going to have people from those departments meeting with the people that are on the committee and stuff.
It's an organization, and if you've got an agenda that has all those department heads on there, you know, if you're not first on the list, you don't have to be there when the meeting convenes. You know, if there's a question of.
Is there a list so
question
they
of
know?
size.
Is there a list so they know? LEC's, the sheriff's going to meet first, and then animal control's going to meet.
You know, that's entirely up to the committee chair to, you know, establish that agenda. You know, there's a big learning curve in this, I realize that, but quite frankly, there is a massive dysfunction of board members and 18 committees. where you have this committee micromanaging this spot and another committee micromanaging another spot. Now we're gonna lump these in together, so we have a lot of unilateral information that is put between several different people, and oversight should be increased, really.
So when you meet, is it gonna be like when the purchasing met this last week, and we're gonna spend 5 hours in a meeting?
Yeah, that did not make any sense to me, why the purchasing was reviewing fees and salaries and law enforcement, you know. The purchasing has always met and reviewed purchasing, which is the
But it
plan.
didn't take us 5 hours to do it.
Well, there again, we had what,
We had the highway
Four.
department, we had
4
the,
new members on that, so there was a learning curve.
Oh, it wasn't a learning curve. It was just too much stuff.
And it was too much stuff, but the bottom line was this all had to be reviewed so it could be
I
approved for
understand
payment.
that, so the bills could be paid.
Right.
But my concern is that you're putting all these people and all these, using these separate groups together, and I personally don't want to spend 5 hours in another meeting.
Yeah, and you really shouldn't. Fees and salaries have already been paid.
Pardon me?
We won't have the,
You know, the salaries have already been paid.
But they review special fund accounts, and there's not a lot of special fund accounts, but fees and salaries, not only did the salary folder, they did special fund accounts. So that's gonna flip to finance now.
That might be the learning curve. Like, that might be the learning curve of how that does maybe get redistributed, how we revisit that, because if it's not the same way every time, like, it won't be that much, that's one thing. But if it's like that every time, we'll have to revisit what that looks like, because it was a lot.
Yeah, it should not be that much of a load. Because there again, like I said, some of the bills that came out of LAC and the highway department, those wouldn't have to be in there. And if it does become a load, my suggestion is to break that up into 2 meetings based on payroll. And then you've got fees and salaries covered during payroll each cycle, and you review bills that are submitted per cycle, and it's all done in a lot less time. Cody?
I don't see what the difference is between just having 5 lumped into one group when we're doing the exact same thing right now. And it doesn't take 5 hours. Plus you have travel time to and from, so if you have 5 different things, then you have 5 different trips in, you have 5 different meetings, where we could just lump all this in and be done with it.
Mr. Chairman, this is,
Hang on.
oh, go ahead.
I got marked over here.
thank you. I will say from the point of purchasing, we had road and bridge, we won't have it.
I understand that.
We had 5 committees that we were reviewing, and we're only going to have 2 of those in the future. So we're going to eliminate 3 that we were just covering, just for that one day.
Sonny?
Under the previous organization, we were essentially requesting that the sheriff attend at least 2 meetings. This is going to reduce that to 1. The sheriff was potentially addressing multiple committees. He'll address 1. I think it'll create greater flow and ease of information and access by having all the public safety concerns in one committee that comes and reports to the board. So with that being said, I'd like to call the question, please.
Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries to change the order of number 14 to reflect 8 committees. Number 14, Jessica, you have the floor.
In your packet, you should have all received the holidays, the county board meetings for 2023, the holidays for 2023, the committee meetings for 2023. I don't believe, I'll be honest with you, Tuesday was absolutely crazy. But I think I got you guys an updated schedule with your committee list. If not, I will. They're basically going to follow some, right now, kind of what they did before. But we have to do this now because we've got to get this out to the media by the first of the year and have our schedule posted for the year. So basically I would entertain a motion. If moving forward, I will say, if moving forward, a committee wants to change their schedule, I need to know plenty of time in advance, because I do have to publish that 10 days. There has to be 10 days notice before they meet again. We did that this previous year. We changed 2 committees and their meeting times. So, like I said, moving forward, if you decide you need to make a change, just please let me know, and we can get that done. But
I'll make the motion.
Make the motion to,
Accept the approval of the calendar of regular scheduled board meetings, committee meetings, and county holidays for 2023.
and second.
Second.
Carol seconds the motion. Any discussion on the calendars? Mark?
I would like to amend the motion so that the purchasing committee can meet at 4:30 PM on the same day that it's scheduled.
I'll second that.
second Tuesday before the Thursday,
Yes,
and you would meet in the courtroom.
yes.
Same day, same place, different time. Dawn seconds the motion to amend. Any discussion?
Are we gonna get in the courthouse that closes at 4 o'clock?
There'll be somebody at the door to allow us in. We've done this before, budget meetings, we came in at 4:30, and we met, well, sometimes for 2 hours, so, or better. This is not anything new.
The offices are closed, so how do we get the bills?
I'll leave them sitting on the table outside the door. I'll leave my cell number on it. Call me if you got a question.
Thank you.
Any other discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the amendment, say aye. All opposed, same sign.
No.
One no being Teresa. So back to the main motion. Any discussion on the main motion? Don?
I'd like to move to amend the motion that the Public Safety Committee meets at 6 PM on the dates listed, and still at the sheriff's office.
So first Thursday of every month at 6 PM. Okay.
I'll second.
Charlie seconds.
Don't feel bad, Charlie, I'll send you.
I'm glad they're not sitting side by side. Those two are close enough. I'll get their names. So I had a motion to change public safety time only to 6 PM. Don?
The reason I made that motion for that was some of the members that are appointed to this committee cannot, they, due to work schedules, they cannot meet at the time that was listed on the sheet.
Yeah, we gotta have committees, so we gotta have members there. Any other discussion?
Who's on the, which one's thrown into that group?
Public safety,
Dawn, Teresa, Cody, Charlie, Julie, Jordan, Simon.
public safety is Don, Teresa, Cody, Charlie, Julie, Lori, and Sonny.
I'm on that. Is animal control in that one?
Mm-hmm.
Has somebody talked to the person that works at animal control if they're willing to come to the meeting?
No. There's a lot of department heads there, and the meeting's set. If the meeting's set for a time of day,
Okay, I understand that, but some of these people are hourly employees. Are you gonna pay them overtime to come to these meetings?
I'm an hourly employee. I have to come to these meetings. We're not asking a ridiculous effort of anyone. If they want to come, they can come.
Yeah, but you can't have a meeting without some of them.
so the animal control, well, it's a committee meeting.
Yeah, they
So
usually meet.
if there's a committee, or if there's a department head report, it could be written out. If there's questions, the chair could read back.
That's fine. I'm just saying.
Mark?
I think we've had, even for our county board meeting, we've had several department heads that have come and spent their time to explain things to the board and
The
new
department
management board.
heads are salaried employees. You're talking about, now, I don't know when Reed comes, I don't know, when he gives his report and stuff, I don't know. But I'm just bringing this up, that this, I don't know if these people haven't been talked to and stuff.
That is such a robust committee that there may not be animal control, a representative at every meeting. And I don't see where there's a requirement to.
Okay.
So I have a motion to move to the public safety at 6 p.m., seconded by Charlie. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. The amendment? Aye. All opposed, same sign.
No.
Back to the original motion.
I'd like to amend, or make a motion to amend the time for the Road and Bridge Committee to meet, same listed
Same schedule.
day, same schedule, different time to 4:30.
I have a motion, I have a second by Jeremy. Any discussion there? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Back to the original motion. Jeremy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would make the motion to amend the legislative committee regularly scheduled meetings to 6 p.m.
Actually, legislative doesn't meet on a regular basis. Legislative meets only when they're called. Legislative / insurance is not on a monthly basis. They only meet as.
Okay. I guess then as a point of discussion, given the increased responsibilities that group might have, it might be wise to meet on a fairly regular basis. We don't have to, I'm just throwing that out there.
And those are, like she said, if we develop a calendar, we just need to publish it and start meeting according to the calendar.
And I think I emailed you and you said that legislative would follow insurance. And I said insurance didn't meet regularly, nor did
Yeah.
legislative.
None of them met regularly.
Except the road and bridge, health, purchasing, yeah.
The combination of legislative never met regularly.
Right, correct, yeah.
So
Martha?
if the legislative committee is gonna start meeting regularly, is that something you need to know and post?
If you want to do a regularly monthly schedule, then I should probably, if you think you need to meet like once a month for a few months, that's one thing. If you think you're going to plan on meeting every month, then you should probably figure out a schedule so I can get it posted by the first of the year.
So can I make a motion to amend this to the Tuesday following the board meeting Thursday at 6 p.m. for that
To
committee?
create a schedule.
To create a schedule for the Tuesday following the board meeting, so the next week at 6 p.m.
Location. Courtroom B.
Courtroom B,
Second.
What time?
6 p.m.
And the Tuesday after the board?
Tuesday after the board
Tuesday
meeting.
after.
Yes.
Motion by Martha, second by Jeremy. The motion is to create and add to the meeting dates of the county board committees, add the legislative in on a calendar to meet the second or the following Tuesday after the monthly board meeting at 6 p.m. courtroom B. Have a second by Jeremy. Any discussion? Mark?
Which a meeting could always be canceled, correct?
Yeah, and, I mean, like I said, I mean, they wouldn't have to necessarily make a schedule now. If they wanted to just call a meeting, you know, like for a few months, and then if they felt there was some reason why they needed to meet every month, then I could publish a schedule 10 days in advance of their next meeting.
To cancel a meeting, how much notification would they have to give you?
Well, an agenda has to be posted 48 hours in advance of the meeting, so, I mean, you know, if they wanted to cancel, if it was something emergent.
Well, let's say they do 4 months and next 2 months they cancel and then meet 4 more months.
You know, they could always, I mean, if they said we're not gonna meet this month, I would just post an agenda that said legislative is not going to meet this month.
I think there's enough for legislative to meet on, to have a regular scheduled meeting. That's a good idea. Thanks, Mark. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the amendment to include the legislative committee on the calendar, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving back to the original motion. The original motion is to approve
The
calendars of the regularly scheduled board meetings, the committee meetings, and county holidays. So with the amendments, I had, who made the motion? Sonny made the motion to approve
And Carol seconded it.
item 14. Who?
Carol seconded.
Carol seconded. All in favor of item 14, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will move on to committee reports. If there's anybody from purchasing that would like to speak, your floor is yours. That's the only committee that's met prior to this board meeting, but if you haven't heard, listen up. I'll let anybody, well, Mark is the chair, that's all I speak.
Okay. And I'm going to ask 2 others to speak as well. They have their own little bit of information. To start with, we did have a few claims that did not include their invoices or receipts. And hopefully in the future, those departments will do a little bit better job of making sure they include their receipts. Make our job a little easier. There's quite a bit of tracing that had to be done, and the committee actually made several phone calls to try to get it covered. But the one issue I really wanted to bring forward was that we had a bill for the farm for seed, wheat, and fertilizer that was applied. I know that not everybody received the invoices because the committee did not have the invoices. I called and got those, and Teresa will explain a little bit more. But we actually have a fee because we have interest that we're 30 days late. Last month, the committee paid a $1,500 and some cents bill. As far as I know, which I've got one question to ask Jessica, we didn't receive any other statement prior to this one you sent out to all the board members?
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, in November, a bill was sent to me from Jim Schwarman at the bank and the purchasing committee last month approved that, and the board approved that last month. So that $1,400 bill with an interest charge has been paid.
Correct. And that does show on the paper that was sent to the farm committee. That was paid. Then we have current charges of $52,422.93, but we have a late charge of $1,047.85. But what's kind of ironic to this is if last month's purchasing committee didn't see an invoice, didn't see a statement, but now we have an interest charge on it. It doesn't add up. Now, I'll refer to Teresa if she found us some other information.
I called the Effingham office and talked to them about this and explained to them how purchasing meets to review the bills that come to the board, that approves the bills to be paid, and we only meet once a month. I think things have crossed in the mail, is what I think. And in talking with the lady that I talked to, She was to talk to the manager of the office and get back with me. She was gonna send me an email. I have not received back anything from them, but they now understand our dilemma when we pay bills about the process of it. So I guess we can just wait and see what they're gonna do. If it's truly late and they don't wanna back it off, she says it's automatically generated through the computer if they do not receive payment. That's what she told me.
And they have the full capability of removing that.
Well, I'm sure they do, but I have not received anything, any kind of
Right.
an answer.
And looking at the invoice dates, I'm sorry, separate from invoice dates, their billing cycle ends on the 30th of the month, and then they mail those out. So potentially, like
We
in last month.
could get another late payment.
Right, because it's like, today's the 8th, which was the second, it's the second Thursday, obviously.
We're gonna get another bill. That's what we're
But,
gonna get.
yeah, purchasing doesn't meet until, or prior to, and I'm gonna reference this because I received my personal bills today. I saw it in the mail, and I, whoop, there's my bills. So, here we are, potentially receiving bills well after the purchasing bill ends, and then we go 30 days behind. So
on Bobby's schedule, and they all pretty well go out at the same time, Jessica should have received a statement, an invoice somewhere in the first 2 weeks of this last month. And we didn't get it until we get this late charge. It says on the 23rd, if last month the committee paid $1,500, it just doesn't jive quite. So, I would think we should amend the payment to just reflect. So I guess I'll just say, I'll make a motion that we amend the payment instead of $53,949.51, less the interest charge, which is the $1,047 and change, to what they say here, it says current. It doesn't say it's 30 days late, it says current. $52,422.93.
And we'll get to that when we pay the bills.
Okay, Bobby.
Now, ahead of myself, aren't I? Okay.
So that's the committee report for that.
I just have a question about that. So we got 2 invoices for the farm, and then the third invoice was for that interest charge. If it's not due until 12/25, if we don't pay that until next month, are they going to add more finance
Yes.
charges on that?
Yes, the computer will automatically do that.
Okay, so you're waiting on a response of, is this, can we work with this?
Yeah.
Can we work this back out to where we're not being negligent by intention, it's just how the schedules fall. The hope is that they can work with us on this, since our schedules don't quite line up.
So if we're not paying the finance charge now, the board isn't going to vote to pay that, can we stipulate somehow if they are not going to work with us and we still owe this, can we get it paid by the due date without meeting again?
What we could do is change this from a mailing to an email account, to where they send it immediately, and then we'll have it.
Absolutely.
And we'll have it immediately. Matter of fact, any application done by the company, the day of, typically, you get an email that says, this field's done, this field's done, this field's done, as they're doing the job. So, we can switch that around and put, we can tag the clerk's email, I guess. That way you get more emails. But,
Well, hopefully we'll get good news.
Sonny.
To that point, Tad and I noticed absorbative amount of late fees. Some as high as 50% of the bill itself were being hit with the late fees. They were nominal amounts, $100, but it came with a $50, $60 late fee. And to me, I don't understand where the disconnect is at, that those types of things are happening. If we're meeting once a month, the bills are coming in and they're due and we're paying them. It just stuck out to both. Am I wrong?
No. And I think some of it just might be a matter of, similar to this, a conversation with the entity explaining the same thing. Here's our cycle, right? You know, with a little bit of grace and a little bit of, you know, leeway on this. Can you understand? Or maybe change our cycle date. You know, can you maybe amend what our cycle date is? Like, I think it can be done, but there were, again, you know, it might sound small, but when you start adding them up, it wasn't small. You know,
Sure.
it really was. And again, you know, a 50% of anything is a lot.
Don't need to be paying the late fees, period.
We have many.
But it was on refuse, you know, the trash charges. There was a lot of cell phone, just little things that I think it's just a matter of seeing if we can realign billing cycle with the committee cycle.
Well, the committee cycle is important, but the board action, the board meeting is really what it all hinges on.
Right. But they're the same week, right?
Right. Even if we had a committee meeting that met halfway, so every 2 weeks perhaps, even if we had a committee meeting, that doesn't mean that bill be paid. It just means that it's approved, and then with night, we pay the bills.
Yeah, I think, in all honesty, it's going to be it'll take some effort, but I think it's a matter of going through those entities, figuring out when that aligns, and then see if we can just get a little bit closer to, if maybe we push it to electronic delivery, because Jessica needs emails apparently.
They can send them to the respective departments.
Thank you.
And actually, we will say in the past, we have had department heads call their vendors and say, look, we pay bills once a month.
Yeah, and like I said, I have no problem working to make that happen, but I think that it's just a matter of us going back through those and find out where they were and see if we can undo some of that.
So, that spurred a thought, and this is something to mull around in your guys' heads. Maybe not the clerk or the treasurer gets the brunt of
Yeah,
all
no, it's
these
just giving a hard
bills.
time, for sure.
But what we could do is create an email address that would be pastoral to one of the office that all the bills would go through.
The county clerk's office does AP. These bills need to go to the respective departments. They submit those bills for payment to us. We don't. So it is totally on the department head. And I will say another thing. Despite repeated requests, the order of business said bills are due a week before the county board meeting, and despite repeated requests, and I get that bills come in, but bills are trickling in at 9:30, 10:30 when purchasing is meeting. And people need to get their bills in so we can get them processed.
And then, of course, we've got the one from USP has to do that.
That full week is an issue. Because if we meet early in the month,
Right.
when a lot of these companies send their bills out on the 30th,
Right.
makes it very tough to abide by the laws that we have set.
The rules. We've got a lot of things to evaluate.
Yes.
And are bills paid once a month? And what day are they paid?
County board day. I mean,
Okay.
the county
So
board
like
will
today,
do it
Erica would send out,
So the checks are cut, aren't they? They're setting.
Mhm.
More or less, the checks they're cut and they're setting in the vault. To the best of my knowledge. If I say something wrong, somebody correct me, but they're setting in the vault, tomorrow morning, out the door they go.
So-
If we elect not to pull a bill, they go pull that check and it's not paid. To the best of my knowledge, that's kind of how it works. I've got slugging hands over here. Start here, Cody.
Mr. Chairman, my question is, was this a bill that was already budgeted for?
Yes. Going back, Martha, go ahead.
The only other comment I'm going to make about going to the paperless paperless billing is, that can save money too, because a lot of times there's a fee tacked on if they're actually mailing it to you. So if we can get department heads to get their bills delivered electronically, we can save, I mean, and every little bit adds up, right? There was one bill we looked at Tuesday, the bill was $200, the late fee was $39.99. That's insane.
Yeah.
It's just insane. So,
Lori?
Specifically, who is the department head for this farm bill that was late?
The farm committee?
So it would be the chairman of the committee would be responsible for that?
Bobby,
Yeah, I received it the other day.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah,
I mean, I understand the sheriff
Oh,
would get
they're
their
old
position,
members, that would have been bad.
but with committees, I'm just wondering if it would defer to the chairman of that committee? Or
This
who would
is-
that go to?
this bill is the only one I would refer back to the committee.
Oh, okay. The others would go to like sheriff or health department or?
They all have department
Okay,
heads.
okay, thank you.
In our situation for this bill, yes, committee is department head.
Bobby,
Yes, sir.
on the, first I got a question from Mark, what was the 52,000, was that for seed and fertilizer or?
Yeah, just a second, I'll give you a breakdown. They put 200 pounds the acre of diammonium phosphate, 200 pounds per acre of potash. The total cost per acre, they figured on 200 acres, which is what, 190, I'm sorry, 180.
196 total,
Okay,
actual.
so it comes out at $196.88 per acre.
Well, so, just pertaining strictly to the poor farm, so whoever's making that phone call, who's making the phone call to get the seed, the fertilizer applied and picking up the seed? Is that the chairman's responsibility or is that the custom farmer?
So what we imbibe as far as chemistry and fertilizer, the committee chair is responsible for making that contact and getting that job done, putting it on the books.
So then, that responsibility falls on the chair, the committee chairman. He can make that phone call too, even though it's an electronic, could be an electronic transaction, make that phone call to whoever the contact person is there at the vendor to, if we need this bill, even though it might be set up on an email, just make that phone call to avoid these $2,000 worth of finance charges or whatever it could be.
Yeah, and that's another pastoral thing that,
I get all of mine that way.
well, I know,
Same company.
and it's a matter of, all right, I'm gonna throw this out as an example. So, the county board chair has an email address that could bounce 22 different places.
Yep.
Should there be a designation for, if you're gonna email the chairman of the county board, you email this address, and that person may change, but the address never changes. That way, things always hit the same spot. Back to your point, you know, I've got a 360 account. So I look at my account and I go, yep, I've got these invoices that are due. Well, I can look at that on my account. Who's gonna hold that account with the password and login? You know, if I've got that information, I guess I could file it with the clerk and it would be on file with the login and the password. It's an idea, and I'm thinking, and I apologize, guys, I'm talking my way through a thought here. So,
Actually, Dave Woods was going to make, I know that Cody said something about the website. I actually think they have a website mocked up, waiting in the wings, just waiting for the board to approve it. He was going to do a Shelby County chair and a Shelby County vice chair email.
yeah.
Because it would be much, yes, so.
Well, I haven't, just looking at the emails now, I think mine might have my name attached to it, but it's for my district.
Right.
So, you know, I assume he can just reset the nomenclature and the password in the event of turnover. So they should stay consistent regardless of who holds that.
Yeah, these are all discussions that can go to committee pretty fast.
Right.
So, but no, there's lots of options, guys. I appreciate this is a good conversation, but sticking to back to the agenda. Where are we at? We're in committee reports, chairman updates. I got notification the other day that next Tuesday at 10 o'clock, there will be a board of review meeting. Zoning? Zoning board.
Zoning, planning, I think planning.
Zoning Planning Commission, that's correct, thank you. It'll be downstairs, 10 o'clock. I encourage anybody that is on the zoning budget committee to attend that. There'll be a lot of valuable information coming out of that we will need to decide on later on as a full board. So, I was told about the meeting next Tuesday, 10 o'clock, downstairs, Quarter B, for the Zoning Planning Commission. Other than that, that's about all I have at the moment. So, moving on to chairman appointments. Entertain a motion to appoint Darren, somebody say his last name, Dubé, is that correct? To the planning commission for a 3-year term.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mark.
Does anybody know this person?
He's currently on the planning commission.
So it's just a renewal appointment?
Is the person here?
Yeah, it's individual here. Is Darren here? So is there a motion to approve, or to appoint Darren to the planning commission? Mark, makes a motion. Can I get a second by Cody? Any discussion? You've already heard some questions, comments. Any further?
Was there somebody from the old board on the zoning committee?
Well, this is
Is that different than the zoning?
well, there was 3 members on the old zoning committee,
Are they
and
part of?
now it's the budget committee that zoning's part of.
Okay, okay.
Hearing none, all in favor of appointing Darren to the planning commission, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
No.
No.
Cody, no. Julie, no. Lori, no. I'll think of your name. Brent, no. Jeremy, no. I'd like to appoint Julie Edwards to the CESS board. I'll make a motion to appoint Julie Edwards to the CESS board. I got Cody Brand's motion, Sonny seconds. Any discussion?
I can tell you, I did work for CEFS for multiple years. I know how their grants and programs work. That's kind of something I'm passionate about, is community action groups, assisting low-income families. So that's why I expressed interest in that board. It isn't just an arbitrary appointment. I kind of am involved with them, or was previously involved with them, and would like to stay involved.
Any other questions for Julie? I'll let her take the floor. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is the county board appointments. Have you all have the list of committees with the assignments? I assume you all do, it's been out in email, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the county board committees as presented. Heath seconds. I got Heath second. Any discussion? I would like to say it is put together, it's published, it's not written in stone. So if there's something that happens, we can make adjustments and move people around. I mean, like I said earlier, we're board of 17 new. We got a lot to learn, a lot to go, so. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Everybody had this probably at their spot. Take a quick look at it. Take it home and read it. That's our correspondence for the month. Any old business that we'd like to drum up?
This is an old business. I just wanted to report that last month, Tim and Julie and I attended the UCCI seminar in Springfield, and I think we came away with a lot of good information. And I'm sure, I can speak for myself. I think it was a good meeting. And there is another one in January, the end of January, that Connie said she would let us know when it is. It would be a good idea for new board members to go to those meetings. They had a really good speaker, so just wanted to report we had a. And the county gets $400 for us going. So.
We get $400 every time we go.
I think it's like quarterly or something.
Very good. Martha?
This is just a question for Jessica. Jessica, I think at one point you mentioned a January meeting, but by a different entity than UCC.
IACBM, Illinois Association of County Board Members, thinks that they are going to have a newly elected official training, so it will actually be county board and county officials that, if they have it, and they really do good presentations too. It's been a few years with COVID and everything, but they have in person, their stuff's really good.
So when you receive that, you'll just send it out
Yep,
to us?
I'll send it out.
And then we can sign up for it?
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other old business? Hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of claims as reviewed by the Person Committee. As presented in the committee reports, we'll pay this. Go ahead and rehash what we just decided.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills, excluding the interest charge.
Well, then I'll let him amend the motion.
Okay. I have a motion to approve the bills, second by Dawn. Any discussion?
I would like to amend the motion to change the amount paid to South Central FS instead of paying $53,949.51. Needs to be the second, please. Which one I had written on?
No rush, Mark. All eyes are on you right now.
Yeah. Go ahead.
52, 422,
Yeah, it's right there in front of me. To 52,422.93.
Repeat that number.
53,949.51.
No, but you want to pay $52,422.93.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Martha seconds the motion to pay the South Central FS bill less the interest charge. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all, now, I'm going to take it.
You're doing the
I'm
amendment.
going to do
Bob,
a
discussion question.
discussion.
That bill that we just amended, did the board approve incurring that expense?
Yeah.
The farm
approves
was,
this question.
Yeah, did the board approve incurring that expense before the work was commissioned?
I'm thinking back now.
We put it out for bid. The Farm Committee put it out for bid. We did not receive any bids. The chairman chose to allow.
So we voted in committee to go with South Central FS, being that no bids were submitted.
Yes.
So we chose to go to South Central FS, and then we came back to the board with and that was in a special meeting, wasn't it? We came back to the board with the contract for Custom Farm and the an election to go with South Central FS with seed and fertilizer.
Is that October?
That would have been
Yeah.
September.
Yes.
Because we received no bids, so the committee elected, then we went right straight in. We went from farm committee straight to a special meeting, which we also took care of the audit report,
Yes.
if I do recall. I'll have to clarify that, but I'm pretty sure we voted on that. Did we not?
Take me a little while to find it. Yes, that's what I thought. It should be in the food board minutes for,
September 20th, I believe, was the special meeting. My memory serves me correctly.
So those minutes would have been approved at the October board meeting. That'll be that board
The
packet.
October packet. Statute offered no clear answer. The committee recommends using South Central FS to provide the fall 2022 inputs if they are willing to work with Shelby County.
But I'm looking for the board action, which would have been that special meeting. And I'm looking
These were
for-
the minutes from
these
that.
the approved minutes from.
So was this a blank check then? I'm just curious.
10-11.
Did the board approve our relationship not knowing how much money it was going to spend?
I'm not going to answer that because I can't go back to that particular day and pull that out of my memory bank at the moment. I'd have to find the minutes to review it.
So what is it exactly we're trying to figure out here? I mean,
The board action taken to go with South Central FS for the inputs for the wheat crop.
so if we didn't, what are we gonna do, just not pay that, or what, I mean, what are we trying to come to here?
Bobby?
I got,
Go ahead.
I've got the actual vote here in the wording. So Williams made the motion to approve using South Central FS. Edwards second that motion, which passed by roll call vote, 13 yes, 0 no's, 1 pass.
Bobby, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
since we're testing your memory tonight, can you recall what the net income was from the custom farm last year?
Last year,
Sorry.
In farm last year.
0.
Well, they made income,
Right, but there was no.
when was the last time they made income?
This year.
This year then, I'm sorry, not last year, this year.
The net,
Yeah, or approximately ballpark.
net last year was 0, net this year was 177 minus expenses.
$177,000?
$185.
Sounds good.
So the motion on the floor is to amend the motion to approve the county claims to pay the FS bill of $52,422.93, which excludes the interest charge until we get that one figured out. Now, the vote I'm going to take is on the amendment to not include the service or the interest charge, and I will take a all-inclusive. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries to pay all the bills and include the FS at the product only, not service charge. Then, so we have that motion properly made, and the second was, is that you, Doug? So now we're going to take a roll call vote for paying the bills. Roll call, please.
Mark Bennett,
Yes.
Teresa Bank,
Yes.
Cody Brands,
Yes.
Tim Brown,
Yes.
Carol Cole,
Yes.
Charles Davis,
Yes.
Julie Edwards,
Yes.
Martha Fernhaber,
Yes.
Clay Hardy,
Yes.
Matt Kessler,
Yes.
Annette Martin,
Yes.
Tad Mayhall,
Yes.
Keith McCormick,
Yes.
Tim Morse,
Yes.
Lori Nelson,
Yes.
David Ogden,
Yes.
Bobby Mormon,
Yes.
Sunny Ross,
Yes.
Mitchell Sheff,
Yes.
Don Tate,
Yes.
Brent Wallace,
Yes.
Jeremy Williams.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Matt.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion by Matt to adjourn, second by Lori. Very good meeting you all. Appreciate it. Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye.